I will begin my speech in 3, 2, 1. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, to the honorable judges, the timekeeper, the moderator, to our respected audience, and to our beloved partner, the government team. My name is Shakila Arviama and I, as the first speaker, as the leader of opposition of the opposing team, would like to state that we do not agree with the motion that this House will decriminalize victimless crimes. Before I state my arguments, I would like to counter some of the government team's statement. First of all is, how would you ensure public safety and protect vulnerable individuals from exploitation? And the government team state that the law is to preserve social order, and it's the government fault that they does not provide enough for the people for them to defy the law. But what alternative approaches would you propose to address the root cause of this behavior? And the third is, how would you balance individual freedoms with the need to protect society from potential harms? While the law aims to preserve social order, it's also important to balance individual freedoms and personal choices. Decriminalizing victimless crimes might undermine social norms and values that are essential to maintain social order. Ladies and gentlemen, while the intention to reduce offending and promote productivity is commendable, but decriminalizing victimless crimes such as prostitution, drug consumption may have unintended consequences. The decriminalizing victimless crimes could potentially harm the public health risk. It could potentially lead to abuse, overdose, and also the increase of disease of HIV and AIDS. And the criminalizing victimless crimes could potentially lead to exploitation and human traffic because of how easy it is to exploit vulnerable individuals, particularly women and children. It could also harm the social cause such as family breakdown, addiction, and community degradations. There are many cases of gambling that ruin their private life because of bankruptcy, and it leads to the harm of the family member or themselves. While providing aid to low-income community is crucial, it's also important to consider the potential unintended consequences of such aid. For instance, the dependency of government supports could over-reliance on aid can create dependency and undermine self-sufficiency. The inefficient allocation of resource, the aid might not always reach the most vulnerable population or address of the roots of the cause of the poverty. And the lack of personal responsibility. Some individuals might not take personal responsibility for their action if they feel that the government will provide for them. While the decriminalizing of victimless crimes might not address the undying issue, but it could potentially lead to the normalization of harmful behavior. It could send messages to society that these behaviors are acceptable, and it could increase the participation. Such as the teenager and also upcoming age children who try drugs because of peer pressure or because the thought of it's being cool, and also the overburden of social services. The additional strain on social services such as healthcare and also counseling resources. The effective approach that we could try is to provide harm reduction service. The provide harm reduction services is to offer services that reduce the harm associated with this kind of behavior, such as exchange program and safe consumption sites. The increased access to treatment. The increased access to treatment is to provide accessible and effective treatment options for individuals that are struggling with addiction or issues. Moreover, while reducing incarnation and criminalization is a noble goal, it's also important to ensure public safety and the individuals accountable for their actions. A balanced approach harm reduction, treatment, and community engagement is much more effective than the criminalization in addressing victimless crime. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is the reason why we, the opposing teams, would like to agree with the motion that this House believes that we should not decriminalize victimless crimes. Thank you very much.